Hello! The turn starts with a bang. We're here with Yamamoto's Folly, which is another play-by-email campaign. This time, myself, paradigmblue, playing as the Empire of Japan against Piratejoe, playing as the Allies. The last video talked about our plans for December 7th, 1941, and here we are on that fateful day. And let's see what happens. Let's see if our plans work out or if they don't. So the turn starts with, of course, a midget sub attack inside Pearl Harbor, and sub puts a torpedo into the battleship Pennsylvania. That's great news, because that's the only damage that we're going to be doing at Pearl Harbor for the entire day. Those midget subs don't always work out, so it's good to see one doing some damage. But the meat of the turn, of course, is going to be over near the Philippines. Looks like ASW patrol outside of Pearl tries to catch one of my Japanese submarines, the I-8, but no depth charges hit. Same thing happens to the I-171. Ooh, we had a close call there. A Dutch boat almost put a torpedo into the CVE Hato, which is accompanying the amphibious force headed down to Miri. But fortunately it misses, even though it launches 6 torpedoes. We have another submarine attack at our invasion force off the coast of Kota Baru. Thankfully, again, missing our ships. These Dutch subs are going to be a constant source of frustration for us. So get used to us losing ships to them here in the Dutch East Indies. Our air AM phase starts off with a sweep over Manilla, a sweep that looks to be superfluous as no American planes take to the air. And we have a sweep over Quangchawan, that French enclave in southern China. 26 zeros, zeros and Oscars sweep the BR-697s and Moraine MS-410s, and lose 2 Oscars, but we take out 6 Allied planes. It's important for us to clear the air over Quangchawan because we have a lot of strikes going in later today to try to destroy his destroyers he has at anchor there, and also wreck that airfield. Oscars sweep Georgetown. Good results, take out 2 of those converted Blenheims, and we have zeros sweeping Quangchawan again. We lose a 0, but we take out 2 Allied fighters, and more sweeps this time, meeting no resistance. Bettys fly to Wake Island, trying to do some damage to the runway there. That's less to take out the runway and more from preventing the Allied player from building forts there, because I do have an invasion force headed to Wake, and I don't want those forts to be any higher than they can be. Looks like I lose 2 bombers to flak, destroy 2 Wildcats on the ground, but do good runway damage. That's good to see. 46, he'll be repairing that. He won't be able to get that down to 0 damage in a turn. Here comes the main event, the KB strike. 300 strike aircraft fly from the KB and attack Manila Harbor. We can see just this cavalcade of damage notifications as they attack the airfield and they attack the port. What I'm really trying to do is to sink the United States Navy submarine fleet at anchor here, and so far they seem to be doing a pretty good job. I'm losing some to flak here. We started out with 153 bells, now we just have 152. But as I watch these, looks like a lot of penetration, which is good. Massive explosion damage we just saw. Lose another valve to flak and another valve to flak. There is a lot of AA in these 3 hexes in the Philippines, in Manila and Bataan, Clark Field. So we get some ship sinking sound clips playing here, which is a good sign. Lost 1 Kates, lost 2 Vals, 7 Vals damaged. Looks like some Warhawks destroyed on the ground, Catalina destroyed on the ground. But the meat of it is the ships here. Let's see if we sink anything. Looks like SS Stingray, SS-37, the Porpoise, the Tarpon, the Sculpin, Pike, S-38, the Seal, a PT boat, don't really care about that, and not a lot of damage to the port or the runway. So we're off to a good start. Hopefully we can follow this up with some other strikes to put the nail in the coffin. And here one of those comes. So 108 Bettys, 27 Nells, all going after the Manilla port. And again, it looks like we're getting some good damage on the submarines and the other ships here. Well escorted by Zeros. And again, we get some ships sinking, Sound Eclipse playing, Pickerel sunk, Sea Dragon sunk, Skipjack sunk, Sturgeon, S-41, a PT boat, Sargo. So another batch of submarines sunk there. Airstrike against Qingchaoan. We're trying to damage this airfield, put it out of commission. If you haven't played Focus Pacific before, this airfield can just be such a thorn in your side as a Japanese player unless you take care of it quickly. French planes are better than their allied contemporaries in this theater, so instead of going after Buffaloes and CW Hawks, Curtiss Wright Hawks, and other kind of poor performing aircraft, if you don't watch out for Qingchaoan, those MS-410s, those BR-697s can really put a hurting on you in this area. So I want to take this airfield quickly. I want to neutralize it and make it impossible for him to run air missions out of it. Great damage numbers here, and also a hit on a ship, but 5 Marines destroyed on the ground, 3 patrol craft destroyed on the ground, 5 BR-697s, 1 167F bomber. It's all good to see, and those runway hits are the best of all. Don't pay too much attention to the amount of damaged planes here. I've noticed on the first turn, for whatever reason, the notifications are greatly exaggerated. So you'll see double or triple the amount of planes actually damaged by our bombings, and that's just part of war in the Pacific. You have a lot of fog of war going on with not all of your intelligence reports are trustworthy. Some sweeping over Manila, again superfluous as they're not putting cap up, and over Eva. And I'm not sure what this Zero Sentai is doing, but it seems to want to go after the Bataan harbor for some reason, and does absolutely nothing. Some Vals from KB2 are going after the field at Cebu. I lose 2 to flak, but looks like I do good damage to the planes there. A Warhawk destroyed on the ground, 2 Buffaloes destroyed on the ground, some other damaged planes, but only middling runway damage. Hopefully the Kates come in and finish up there. Some Lilies going after Clark Field to try to destroy some planes on the ground. The more I can destroy on the ground the first turn, the less I have to face in the air. Good damage to some Flying Fortresses, 3 Warhawks destroyed, and some okay runway damage. Not as high as I would like. Sallies try to pace the Georgetown airfield, and they go after the Georgetown port. I should have let that animation play out a little bit more, sorry about that. Destroy Blenheim on the ground. Also do great damage to the shipping at anchor here. An AP sunk, and some damage to these other ships. Another strike goes in, this time Nels against the shipping. Lots of great damage notifications. I saw one, a HDML was obliterated by one of those bombs. Another Blenheim destroyed. And yeah, look at that. Those HDMLs, those motor launches, 4 of them sunk. They're low-value ships, but every little bit counts. They actually make for good local anti-submarine patrols, I find. In any case, the big one's still afloat. Hopefully the next strike will be able to sink them. A little bombing in China to really no effect. And Sanyas go in, trying to again destroy this runway at Qingchaoan. And they really don't do much. Flight of 45 Lilies, 27 Idas, again trying to take out this runway at Qingchaoan, destroy some aircraft on the ground. Looks like they're getting some good hits here. Yeah, so 2 BR-697s destroyed on the ground, 2 Moraine MS-410s, and great runway hits. Hopefully by the end of the day, this runway will be completely shut. Lilies, 55 of them, going after the shipping at Georgetown. And we get some sunk notifications, which is good to see. An AK and an AKL are both sunk. Some export Warhawks, the H-81-83, destroyed one of my nates above Chuxian. And my Sanyas, as part of that raid, don't really do anything. We'll have to take out those H-81-83s, which I believe are based out of Wincao. 58 Bettys hit the Rabaul airfield. Again, just trying to shutter this airfield. There's some Buffaloes here, I believe, some Australian Buffaloes. I believe he has some Catalinas here and some Hudsons. So it provides a lot of great naval search and protection for the Solomons and the Bismarck Sea, which I need to move on quickly, so I want to begin shutting down this airfield, which will give me a little bit more freedom of movement in this area. Ooh, it looks like this Buffalo Squadron makes contact with my Bettys on their way out, and I'm going to lose some bombers here. Yeah, 5 Bettys destroyed, that's not good to see, but 2 Catalinas, 2 Hudsons are destroyed on the ground, and runway hits 110, he's going to have a hard time flying out of Rabaul the next turn. Now, I swept Rangoon earlier and it didn't do much, but they're still putting planes in the air. But it looks like my bombers make it through. Again, we're doing some runway damage, and we're also going after his port here. Just gonna speed through this. Otherwise, it's gonna be a very, very long turn. And yeah, so we lose some Bettys. A Betty and a Sally and an Oscar. It looks to Flak and these Flak and Cap, but 2 Marines destroyed, 2 Buffaloes destroyed, 2 Warhawks destroyed, 3 Blenheim destroyed. That's a good ratio there. And we put a couple bombs into some of these ships. Decent runway hits too, 49. I like to see that. Another large strike going in against the port at Qingchaoan. These French destroyers at Qingchaoan are very, very capable. They're French destroyer leaders, Morgador, Fantasque class, Vauquelin class. These destroyers that French was making right before the outbreak of World War II were some of the fastest destroyers in the entire world at that time, and they had the firepower to go head-to-head with Italian light cruisers. So sinking these as quickly as possible is a high priority for me, because if they get in among my amphibious task forces, say at Sema or Takao, or offloading at a pari, they can do some really serious damage. So the more damage I can do now to them, the better. I really want to neutralize them before they can swing into action. Good damage to the planes on the ground. Looks like 5, 7, 8 destroyed on the ground. And this is what I wanted to see. Some good hits on these French destroyers. None of them sunk, unfortunately, but enough so that if they do sortie next turn, they're going to be pretty damaged and slow. Some battles going against the port as well. Just placing another couple bombs. Sweeping over Rangoon doesn't do anything since he doesn't have any planes in there. I get another ship sinking notification, so something somewhere just went under the waves due to that sound clip. A second Betty Strike goes after the Manilla port. It's well escorted, so the bombers get through. Good, I see some more hits against some submarines. Oh, and we get the lovely... There we go. Hear the submarine sinking sound clip there. Always like that one. Spearfish is sunk. Perch is sunk. Permit is sunk. Good job, guys. And 27 more Kates. They're 800 kilogram bombs, absolutely devastating. Experienced pilots, so they're very accurate. Sea Raven, Snapper, PD-35, Sea Wolf, Sailfish, and Sari is only heavily damaged, but another batch of submarines sink to the bottom. And here we have KB2 striking Cebu. Cebu, like I said, has Buffaloes, has Devastators, has Vindicators. Really important that I try to destroy them on the ground before they can start flying anti-shipping strikes against the invasion forces that are going to be swarming the Philippines in just a couple turns. Let's speed through this animation. Looks like one of my cases is destroyed by flak, but 4 Buffaloes destroyed on the ground, a Liberator destroyed on the ground. Always good to destroy a 4-inch bomber, 1 Catalina, and 1 of these recon planes, all destroyed. Decent runway hits. I would have liked a little bit more damage here. See no Vindicators destroyed, no Devastators destroyed, just some damaged. I'm going to need to follow up with more strikes on Cebu to try to destroy those planes. Some Ans find destroyers that look like they're fleeing from Hong Kong, maybe? Yeah, I think the Thanet starts at Hong Kong. So he's moved those south. And I don't think any destroyers are hard to hit with dive bombers or torpedo bombers, it seems. They're just fast, they're small. A strike flies from Cotabaru, targeting my amphibious task force headed there. Clods, I believe, from the CVE that accompanies this task force, rise to the occasion. Bombers still get through. Luckily, the CVE is unharmed by these Hudsons. Another strike, but again, ineffective. This time, Hudsons try to hit my battleships here at Cotabaru. My cap doesn't engage them at first, but as they're leaving, make contact. And it looks like they're going to take out some Hudsons. Yeah, 3 destroyed, and 1 destroyed by flak. I didn't even see those Buffaloes, but evidently 1 gets destroyed by flak. 6 more Hudsons, meeting my cap here. A lot of different cap here in the area. I've just moved in quite a bit to try to protect all my shipping here, and 4 of them are destroyed. Blenheims make it through without problems. Don't know why they are able to slip through so easily. I do have cap at the same altitude as they are, but they do not hit my ships. Alright, so this is a really nice surprise. So the CVL Vengeful, which is a flight deck cruiser, is a Focus-specific addition to the game, and it starts out in Force Z, which historically kind of sailed into the South China Sea and was sunk by torpedo bombers. In this case, he's opted to sail it south from Singapore, away from my Nels and Bettys. However, I put a Mavis group on naval attack. They have really long range. I made sure they had some torpedoes to use, and so we put a torpedo into the side of the Vengeful, on fire, heavy damage. That's a great way to start the game. A CVL Vengeful, right now it's not very powerful. It carries a handful of planes. Being a flight deck cruiser, it has a flight deck on the back, guns in the front. It's kind of the mullet of carriers, but it can upgrade, I believe in April of 42, to a full CVL, full light carrier, and becomes much more dangerous. Have some bombardment at Wake. I'm bombarding Wake because I have a amphibious task force that will be at Wake in a few days, and Wake is sometimes problematic for me as a player. As the Japanese, for whatever reason, I sometimes have trouble taking the base with what I first unload. So I'm just going to soften up the troops there a little bit, get some disruption going, continuing to damage that airfield, and hopefully that'll be enough so when I do land, I'll be able to take the base relatively quickly. Bombardment does a good job. For whatever reason, I'm never able to get my recon planes or my search planes to perform the spotting action on the first turn of the game, which usually increases accuracy, but they still do a good job. 7 squads destroyed, 18 non-combat squads destroyed, 6 engineers destroyed, and some good red might hits. I'll take it. And Yamamoto is bombarding Kota Baru. Just want to make my landings go a little bit smoother here, disrupt more of his troops. Sometimes it takes a couple of days for Kota Baru to fall. You have to do repeated attacks. I'd rather not have that happen. I want to start moving south in Malaya as soon as possible. And to ensure that I do that, I'm going to do as much damage to the forces here as possible so we can secure the base and start moving south. So after the turn, I'm going to go into the actual game itself for a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the things that happened today and what we're going to do in the future. 827 casualties here. Yeah, some good results from this bombing. And I'm bombarding Kwangchawan as well. I know this looks like a little bit overkill of Kwangchawan with how many strikes that went in, but it's super important to me that I neutralize this as quickly as possible. And I think this bombardment will do that for me. I think it'll put the finishing touches in on that airfield so he won't be able to fly anything out of there tomorrow. And if I keep consistent pressure on it, he's not going to be able to repair it, and his planes will be destroyed on the ground unless they're moved out. Yeah, it looks like some good destruction on the ground. 644 casualties, 20 non-combat squads destroyed, 4 engineers destroyed, and some good run my hits. Invasion action off of Kota Baru. This is the historical invasion. I haven't changed this at all. I have some more follow-up forces coming from Kamra Bay, but for now, they get offshore without too many casualties. And again, 3 squads disabled. That's not bad for an amphibious landing. 3 squads destroyed. Also land at Bataan Island. Again, historic invasion there. And amphibious assault there. Landing at Miri. Really lucky that submarine didn't put any torpedoes into the CV Hato there on their way down, but I get off with, looks like 5 disablements. and 72 more. Ground phase, shock attack up at Pingpu. I just force this Chinese group out, takes 958 casualties, I take 73. Shock attack of Bataan Island, we take the island. You may also notice here at Apari and Vigan, I have dropped paratroopers. They will take the 2 bases here. It'll allow me to immediately move in some fighter squadrons to put some better cap over all the amphibious task forces that are going to be unloading in this area. There's that shock attack at Apari, shock attack at Vigan as I take those bases. And that is it for the turn. Like I said, we'll be sticking around a little while longer to talk about what happened today and how we're going to move forward. But overall, a pretty decent turn. Okay, so we're into the game itself. People have asked me about some of the differences in Focus Pacific. The biggest one is, as the Japanese, I start out with a lot more carriers. Look at all these CVs and CVLs. That means that the KB, I have 6 full-size carriers and 1 light carrier, putting up a total of 576 aircraft, or 555, I guess, without all the search planes. And it's quite a strong force. There's really nothing that the Allies can do against the full KB. That's just like in stock, though. Allies also get plenty of other carriers as well. They have plenty of toys to play with. Here's KB2 down here. I've got 1 CV, 3 CVLs, and I kind of call it KB3 down here, which is just some escort carriers and a light carrier. It's really just acting as an escort force. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to continue to pound Manilla, sink the rest of the ships there. There's still 37 ships afloat there. It's entirely way too many. I'll allow my carriers to also do some naval strikes. The KB will stick around for 1 more day to try to sink some shipping, but then it'll head east toward Wake, try to support the amphibious invasion there. I, of course, have a lot of amphibious TFs headed toward northern Luzon. KB2 is going to continue to hang around Cebu, neutralize that airfield, and to try to destroy some of the planes there. And then I have some surface task forces that will hang out in the Celebi Sea, the Sulu Sea, try to sink any shipping coming south toward the safety of Darwin or Sorayaba. I have some Japanese submarines headed right outside of Palembang to lay some mines. These submarines will stay where they are to protect my invasion task forces. More will be streaming across the South China Sea toward Malaya. What else is happening? Got amphibious task force headed toward Makin. Amphibious task force also headed toward Tarawa. My Wake invasion task force is headed there. These bombardment task force will retire to Truk to rearm and be available to bombard Guam when that invasion happens, which will be pretty soon. That Guam invasion is coming south here from the Bonin Islands. I have a little tiny carrier task force. There's a single carrier. It's going to rendezvous with the Wake invasion force just to give them a little air support in case the Allied player moves his carriers to Wake to try to disrupt that invasion. That Wake invasion force has, that's not it, that Wake invasion force, where'd it go? There it is. Has a couple CVEs, and combined with that full-size carrier, should be able to fend off what 2 carriers can throw at it. But there's also, like I said, I'll be moving the KB1 down to Wake to support it as well. Gonna play a pretty standard game here in the Philippines and the Dutch East Indies. Won't see anything super exciting going on there. I just want to be kind of methodical about it and don't move anywhere without adequate air support. In China, there's a house rule that I can only move so much AV out of Manchukuo every month. I'll be taking what I can out of Manchukuo, mostly armor, and begin to push in these clear areas down here to firm up my battle lines, so to speak, my areas of control. Because right now I just have way too much in my back areas, and I like to get those units cleaned out so I have a more cohesive front. Hong Kong, of course, I have AV moving down there. It'll take a few turns to take it, always does, but once that's done, these troops will move up to Luqiao, and then up the road to Yun. If I can get there before his reinforcements do, before he brings troops back, then I'll have that kind of door into Chongqing. Otherwise, this good terrain here at Guiyang and Tuyun can be kind of a roadblock for me. Burma, pretty standard play here. I'll move troops up to Chiang Mai and head just north of Pegu to cut off that rail line, and then move up to try to take the rail line up here. And these bases, I want to get behind him if I can here and get to the Imphal line before he can reinforce it. This is all very wishful thinking, though. A lot of this action won't happen for around a month or so, as the troops have to slog through the jungle. I won't be taking too much here in the Solomons or the Bismarck Sea until I can move more carriers down here, like the KB2, to support those landings. He has a lot of Catalinas here at Port Moresby and Horn Island, and if he sets them to naval attack and I don't have any air cover, it can go badly for my offloading transports. Let's talk a little bit more about what's new for Japan. Besides the new carriers, I also have some battle cruisers, some Magi-class battle cruisers that are new to the game. Some Yoshino-class battle cruisers. Oh, also what's fun is if we go down here, we're going to see this little ship way down here. What's this? Well, it's a German commerce raider. So this German commerce raider they appear kind of down here near the Cape of Africa, along with some pocket battleships. The conceit is that, hey, these ships that Germany kept sneaking past the British and into the Atlantic, instead of spending too much time in the Atlantic, they instead round the Cape and come into the Indian Ocean to link up with the Japanese. But I'll have these ships in his back line, hopefully wreaking some havoc. What else is new? Oh, let's talk about some planes here. So, when it comes to planes, I talked about it a little bit. Let me click on the right button here. I have a new version of the Oscar for my forces, the 1D. Two center-mounted 20mm cannons. The gun value is still pretty low, but the accuracy of these center-mounted cannons is much better than the normal Oscar. And if you compare it to like the 1A, which only has a gun value of 4, there's a gun value of 5 on the 1B, on the 1C of a gun value of 6. So the 1D with a gun value of 8 is a marked improvement. And like I said, much more accurate. Accuracy of 52 compared to, let's check out the 1A. 54, I guess that's better. Penetration 1. A better penetration, I guess. Oh, yeah, better accuracy of 58. What else? Oh, I do have Ki-44 Tojos, which you only get one squadron of in stock, but I can produce these from the start. Better gun value again of 10, and a good top speed of 360. So it's nice to have those. Another tool in my arsenal. On the bombing front, the biggest change is I get the G5N2 Liz, which is a Japanese heavy bomber. Largest bomb load of anything I have currently, and also really good range. Normal radius of 20, extended radius of 29. So this really gives me some long reach to compare with his B-17s and his Liberators. Decent durability for a Japanese plane, but still not as high as a B-17 or a Liberator. What else? I have a lot more ASW assets in Focus Pacific in the form of sub-chasers. These are just kind of little local ones, but I also have some larger, more powerful sub-chasers as well that will help me out quite a bit. I get a few more destroyers, a few more cruisers. In all, I just have not necessarily different units, aside from those fighters and those ships I showed you. I just have a little bit more of everything to play with. It makes playing Japan a little bit more forgiving. Early game, you don't have to worry about every destroyer you lose because you're so low on destroyers to begin with. In any case, let's look at how the turn went for me. I know this is getting long, I'll finish up pretty quick here. Aircraft losses. Overall, Allied lose 161, I lose 47. It's a great ratio for me, and some good numbers on the ground. Looks like Quang he loses quite a few French aircraft. Some Buffalo, these F2A3 Buffaloes probably destroyed on the ground at Rabaul. These French searchcraft destroyed at Quang. So overall, good day in the air for me. We'll have to follow up and make sure we keep that momentum. Only 5 zeros lost. That's actually a really good result for the first day. I've had much worse days with zeros on December 7th before, so I don't mind that at all. Let's look at ship sunk. So I lose some midget subs, which is completely understandable. That it's just a given the first turn. But look at all these destroyed submarines. Looks like 15 subs sunk. Hopefully we'll get more tomorrow. And it says I sunk the Vengeful. I don't think I did. Yeah, look at the point value. With 16 subs sunk, that gets me to nearly 133 points already. If I had sunk the Vengeful, I'd be over 200 points. What else did I sink? PT boat. Those HDMLs, which don't even kind of show up here, it looks like. And some low value shipping here. Looks like at Georgetown, I would have hoped to sink a little bit more, but that's okay. It's always next turn. Alright, so that's it for the turn for December 7th, 1941. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the Discord. Take care, everyone.